I don't know what's going on. Everything's broken. So forget the countdown. A few minutes ago, we were all right. A little bit of background information here, a little bit behind the curtain. We literally were talking about stuff being a shit show like 2 minutes ago. So we're just going to go for it and see what happens here. So let me bring everybody in, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. So we'll bring in Mr. DeHammer. Mr. Paul, how you doing? It's good. It's going to be one of those days today.
It is.
We got Paul of the future, Paul Corliss.
Good evening.
We got Mr. Sean. We it's
Evening.
completely the yellow shirt crew tonight. And then from PIXEL CNC, we have Deftware. We have Leon and we have Charlie. They're coming on here. Let's see here. So we're going to be. There we go. My computer might die. Is it going that slow for everybody else to show?
It's fine to me.
No, you look. It looks good.
All right. On my side, there's a huge lag when I'm hitting a button. So that's must have been what happened to the to the intro.
Couldn't keep up.
The intro died a horrible death. So, Sean, what have you been working on this week?
Laser beams and resin printing.
There you go.
And my alarm. Sorry.
Very nice, very nice.
Other than that, not a lot.
Yeah. Sounds like you were having some problems with your stream a little bit ago. So, are you still feeling a little bit laggy? Or are you doing all right? Do you think, Sean?
Oh, mine. From what I see, it's doing okay, and you guys are you're all fine. Sorry
Fantastic.
about that. You know what? Real. We'll go ahead and finish up. I do want to say something though.
No, go ahead.
I do have to apologize about last week's show. I did not catch the 988, which is a very important number.
Oh.
And I misunderstood that one, and I do apologize. But it is a very, very good cause. And like Ryan says, if any of our friends are out there and would need a little help, even myself, feel free to call.
It's good times.
And
it's good times,
for
man.
the vet. Yes.
Heck yeah. Mr. DeHammer, what you working on, sir?
Finally got the video going, got this carved out, had some issues, but all because I can't, get this board to stay flat. So it's all my fault, but all the issues.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
That
really
looks
cool.
pretty good.
But you can see there, V-Bit decided to carve it out. But you know what? That's called another video on how to fix your mistakes. So, but yeah, doing that, and I'll have my PIXEL CNC video done hopefully by tomorrow.
Wow.
Nice.
Sweet.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing it. Seriously, I can't wait to watch it. So
I can't wait to watch it either. Be like, oh, no.
There you go. Mr. Corliss, what about you, sir?
Hey, I want to second what Sean said. If you need help, call 911, call 988, call one of us, but reach out to somebody. And this week I bought a honeycomb bed for my 3D or for my laser printer off of Marketplace for $10 or
Oh,
$20. And it's amazing the difference that makes when you're cutting something.
Oh yeah, the you're getting a lot of you're not getting the flashback on it.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you don't
And
have
so
to
I've
worry
been
about
playing
burning the
around-
wife's table.
It's not the wife's table. It's my good 3/4 inch oak plywood.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've been playing around with that and cutting a few things and just messing around with that.
Cool, very cool.
Oh, and
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've been working on my Gatton Christmas challenge,
Nice.
the design part of it. So get that started.
Yep.
You only got, how many days you got now?
We currently have 68 days until the start of the 2023 Gatton CNC Christmas Challenge.
That's it.
Yeah, 63.
Oh,
that's
boy.
it.
Wow.
So get moving and it
Oh, you
gets
can
started.
start it now.
Yeah. So in case you don't know what that is, it's you do a Christmas themed project and you post the video between Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve, and then we put it up as part of the Gatton CNC Christmas Challenge. You can use laser CNC routers. You can use 3D printers, whatever you want, as long as it has something CNC in the project. And then after the beginning of the year, we'll go back. We'll go through all the videos and get some prizes out for some folks. Speaking of prizes for that, real quick, while we're still talking about that, our first sponsor for that has signed on, and let's see here. If you can guess who that is, let's see here. I will pull it up here right now. Yes,
Hey, good deal.
it's our buddy Cody from Cadence Manufacturing and
Paul.
Design. He's going to be donating a bit to us to give away for during the CNC Christmas Challenge. So
Good
awesome!
deal.
Thank you, Cody. We'll announce the other guys.
Thank you, Cody.
Anybody else that's sponsoring stuff for that as they happen.
Hey Ryan, can I have about another minute?
You're so needy.
If you got it, you can. I know. I just wanted to say that you don't put this show on for free. And if people could help you out, that'd be great. You got your Etsy store, you've got a PayPal account, and any help that we can give Ryan to help him cover the cost of putting this on, it'd be greatly appreciated. I know. That's my 2 cents worth.
I appreciate that, Paul. Yeah, that'd be good. It's been a crazy week this week, so I haven't
And a
gotten
thumbs up.
any of the new stuff. Yeah, hit a thumbs up. That's free. And watch the stream like 17 or 18 times this weekend. That'd be great too. There's supposed
Better
to be
play
some
in
more
the
stuff going
background
on.
of the loop.
Yeah. Just turn it on. Go incognito. You'll be all right. Yeah. So good deal. Leon, what have you been working on this week?
Well, this presentation. So I haven't actually cut any projects at all, but I've put together several little pieces for this presentation. So
Awesome.
I hope you guys all enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. Charlie, you got anything? You're currently muted. Hold on a second. Let me unmute you. Maybe, yeah, you're still muted.
Yep.
There we go. All right. If you want to show my, you should be able to see my Pixel CNC window. It's just showing it right here next to me. If you want to put that up, okay. So I've been working on adding a new function or a new option to the Shapes from Paths tool that allows you to go from what used to be generated like this with the chamfered shape mode. Now you can get faceted shapes from your paths by disabling this new option right here. So originally, the version that you guys have right now, version 1.7.4, this is basically on in the background. It's not an option, but in a new update, users will be able to disable that, and they will be able to generate more interesting shapes. For instance, a star is, I think, more attractive when, let's see, what am I doing? When it's faceted, right? I mean, that's like a star you would expect, as opposed to this situation, which isn't ideal for a star, but it is good for some other shapes. But the whole difference here is that we have the rounded inside corners here, and that makes all the difference in the shape. And that also works with these other different shape modes with the rounded and the fillet shapes. So that's what I've been working on, and then a couple little UI things that I've been fixing up. But that's basically it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's pretty sweet. That's just in case anybody doesn't know. That's what we're going to be talking about here in a minute. Let's see here. Let me go back to here real quick. Let's see. Is this going to work? Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, I've just been working. I got my Ender 3 back up and running. So we've been with a direct drive extruder and all that good stuff. So I'm back to work on printing out stuff for the dune buggy. It's coming out really nice. Pretty excited about it. Yeah, this is from the files are from 3dsets.com, and there's some guys out of Czechoslovakia. Really highly detailed model RC car model kits, and I couldn't wait to start putting it together. Trying to nail my son down for his is to work on his is like chicken with his head cut off. So I was like, I have to make my own. So been printing out stuff for this and getting it going. Super excited.
Good.
Yeah, it's really nice looking. I'm the new extruder is working primo, so really happy with the results of it so far. But
how many pieces is the body of that made out of? Because I know that wouldn't fit on an Ender bed.
Yeah, the body itself, the hood is one piece. The front fenders are individual pieces. The side are another piece, and then the back is one whole piece.
Okay.
So, and then they screw together. I don't know if you can see that there. Yeah, they have all kinds of screws and attachment points all over the place underneath. And
Cool.
yeah, it's there's like, well, I don't even know how many build plates. There's 36 build plates in the files, but some of those are for different wheels and stuff like and all that. So, but roughly 30. It's like 10 straight days of printing, they say, on one machine. So,
nice.
And I believe it because it takes a while, but the results are really cool. So that's what I've been working on. Yeah. When I've had a few minutes, I run up here and hit the button, and then let it run. My wife has been away. She was on a trip. She just got back today, so it's been a little busy around here. so now that she's back, maybe it'll calm down a little bit. But cool. All right. Well, let's get into our discussion tonight and the presentation from you guys. How do you want me to pull this up? You want me to make you big there, Leon? Is that right? Or
maybe do an intro. Maybe let Charlie do an intro, and then you can flip over to me. I'll intro, and then I can just kind of go right into the demonstration. If that works for you.
Whatever works for you guys.
All
right. So my name is Charlie, and I live in Northern California, out in the mountains, and been writing code since I was a kid. Of course, I wanted to make games as a kid, so I started learning how to do all that. Once I got to be older, I realized maybe I didn't want to make games. And my father, he owned his own machine shop making precision parts for medical and optical and government contracts. And so I was able to learn a few things working for him at his shop. And then he passed away a couple years ago, and project of my own I realized needed a CNC to be done. So I got a CNC router and was able to hit the ground running just because of everything that I learned working for my father. and then quickly figured out that to make signs, I was able to turn my wife's Photoshop designs into G code. And I had figured out a whole process, a whole workflow using different free programs to do that, turning her Photoshops into like a mesh and then tool pathing the mesh. And it was, it got to where if the final tool path wasn't making what I wanted, I'd have to go back to the original image, tweak that, and then go through the whole process again. And I realized I can just write my own program to generate toolpaths directly from the images. And that's how Pixel CNC started. And initially, that's all I could do. You could just load one image and then generate a toolpath off that. But slowly over time, I've been wanting to add other features. Like sometimes it's convenient instead of having to go into Photoshop or GIMP. I wanted to be able to just put text in there sometimes, or maybe just add a little thing. So I added the Canvas system so that you can actually composite different elements together right in Pixel CNC instead of having to use graphic editing program or really have any graphic editing skills. But it is geared more towards people who are more comfortable with graphic editing software as opposed to CAD software, which is more engineering and manufacturing centric. Pixel CNC is supposed to be more geared for people who just want to be able to make something like they're using something like Photoshop. And yeah, here we are a couple years in. It's been about, I've been working on it for about 6 years. 6 years of developing Pixel CNC. Yeah. It's got a pretty decent user base considering that I don't really promote it at all. And some pretty hardcore fans. When Leon showed up, I was happy to see how excited he was about it. That was cool.
Yeah. I still am too. So
cool.
It's a good thing. It's crazy powerful.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's been, I've just been building it up. And I mean, some people might say, oh, watch out for, there's a thing in software development, feature creep, where I start getting too many ideas. Oh, I should have this, I should have that. But everything I've added is something that I personally wanted and originally just didn't, originally think I'd have like the first version of Pixel CNC and then down the road make a whole new Pixel CNC that has more. And I sort of just took all those features that I'd already planned for like a 2.0 and just started adding them one by one directly into the existing build and just releasing that to users. And yeah, it's come a long ways. It's kind of crazy to see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it feels like a full flushed out program though.
I agree.
So like once you start the little bits you add, it's like cool. I'm still trying to kind of wrap my brain around this little part.
Yeah, there's a lot. I know there's a lot to learn.
I know I've emailed you
where everything is and then how to do certain things. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's pretty nuts. And just so everybody knows, there is a link in the description of the video that they can go and download it and everything so that they can check it out themselves. It's pretty sweet. So, good deal. All right, so move Leon over here, and
my turn.
He wanted to.
So I'm Leon Powell now. I'm ex-IT, sort of ex-IT. Can you really ever be ex-IT? I started my career when I was about 19, 20. I got a job pulling network cables, doing the dirty work up in dirty fiberglass filled ceilings, things like that. Did that for a couple years. Then, hey, while you're pulling network cables, do you want to image these computers for us? Next thing it was, hey, you seem pretty good with computers. Maybe you could do something with this server and telephone systems. And I don't know, 20, 25 years later, here I am. I think I reached the end of my IT career path. It just was becoming too corporate and too much BS, frankly. And meanwhile, in the middle of it, I'm a man with many hobbies. I have a K40 laser that I've tuned a lot. I have my CNC, obviously, looking over. I have 2 FDM printers, 2 MSLA printers, and that's just kind of my maker stuff. Beyond that, I mean, a telescope. I have a robot over here that I've been trying to build that I call Lieutenant Dan, because he's just legs. So
The rest of Lieutenant Dan.
he looks a lot like something from Star Wars, but I should be able to hold him up actually. This is Lieutenant Dan.
Oh,
So he looks a lot. I designed all the parts in this, and I was convinced I can make a robot walk based on Arduino, and so far I've totally failed. But he stands there and he can take little shoves and stuff, but he can't actually walk yet. Maybe one day.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm into all kinds of stuff like that. How I arrived here today, though, is basically I've been using multiple CNC softwares for a couple of years. When I get into CNC for a while, I'll do for a couple of months at a time. I'll be on the CNC and then I'll bounce to something else. And I was on Carvico. I got really tired of paying for Carvico and also the arbitrary features that they remove. Like, I mean, for $15 a month, like you'd think you could be able to center something, like, or left align or right align, but like they block everything except centering something on the screen, and it's just really annoying. I don't know. So I started looking for alternatives. I tried pretty much all the other softwares. Carbide 3D, Vectric would probably be my second choice. But then just somewhere in some dark corner of the web, I found this software called PIXEL CNC on Reddit thread or something. And I started looking at it, and immediately I kind of recognized this is a really powerful tool. How much does this cost? Wait, this is, this software is only $150. That's actually a great deal for what you get here, because it's a one-time fee. And the more I dug into it, the more I realized this is like a guy who wrote this like in his basement or something, like it's doesn't seem there's any community around it. And so I started talking to Charlie, and it turns out I was right, and basically worked out a deal to help promote PIXEL CNC. The main reason I think I'm doing this is because I think this software needs an audience. I think it needs to get out to the maker community, to the people who are maybe buying these cheaper CNCs and want to get into the hobby. And I just really think that, it just does so much more for so much less. And so, yeah, that's really my goal here, is just to kind of spread the word about it. And thank you guys for all inviting me here to do this. So without further ado, if you guys are good, I'll start a quick product demo.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So, all right, let me switch here and let me know if everything looks okay. I just want to forewarn you, we had talked to Charlie. PIXEL CNC can be very GPU hungry sometimes. So if there are any glitches in my stream, it's most likely that PIXEL CNC has hogged up all my GPU. I think this PC should be okay.
And it's usually when you're playing the simulation. That's usually when it just goes full bore. Every time that the GPU updates, it immediately sends it more work to do. So it doesn't matter what GPU you have, it'll just keep going as fast as it can. So yeah, with streaming, it can tax the system, because the GPU typically is responsible for capturing the screen. So yeah, we'll let you know if it starts bogging down or something.
Yeah, just yell if it does, and I'll hold on a second, until I come back. So cool.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. So
Leon, it can't be any worse than the beginning of the show.
yeah, I think it probably could be. But like I said, if it gets worse than the show.
Yeah.
All right. So how does this look? I don't know if the audience can see, or is clear? Are we clear
Looking
here?
good.
Can people see
Yeah,
the menus and things?
Yeah, can see the menu, can see the buttons, can see the status bar. Actually, you're covering the status bar, but I don't think that's super important.
All right. Yeah, because I'm not going to be able to see the stream when I'm doing this. You'll have to yell if anything looks off. All right. So I just want to take maybe 10 or 15 minutes of time. I'm a newbie to this program, really. So I probably have only been using it for, I don't know, how long has it been, Charlie? Like 3 months, maybe?
Yeah, a couple months.
Yeah. So, but there's a lot of things that jumped out at me, and why I formed this partnership are because of these things. So I just made kind of a list of features I want to go through and demonstrate as far as what Pixel CNC can do. So firstly here, I just want to briefly go over what the canvas system is. So basically, Pixel CNC works in layers, and layers can be, you can have multiple layers, you can compost them together, you can compost them together in ways that you are either adding geometry, subtracting geometry. The main three types of layers are a raster layer, which is going to be a layer that contains depth content. It's going to be 3D content. You have a paths layer. This is going to be your SVG paths, if you're familiar with that. Basically, it's 2D outlines. And then you have text layers, which are pretty self-explanatory, I think. And then the other three options when you go to create a layer here in Pixel CNC are just going to be to bring content in from the outside into one of those layer types. So just to demonstrate some of the wow features here right off the bat, I'm going to start with the raster layer. This is just going to create a blank layer here. And one of the coolest things that's really stands out above the competition here is that so anytime you're on a layer, you're just going to want to click edit that layer, whether it's text or whatever. You'll have a button right here that says edit the layer, and then you get the selection of tools to manipulate that layer. And in particular, I'm going to show you the manual brush tool here. So this is just a blank 3D layer. It's blank slate. There's nothing on it. So what we can do here is have a brush, and we can change the shape of the brush somewhat. Maybe round this brush a little bit at the top here. Maybe pull it in just a little bit. The brush size is actually the width of the brush. Yep, and we can just draw right on the palette here, similar to sculpting with clay, which is, really a very cool feature for something this is one of the things that first jumped out at me, like, wow, you can't do this in anything except for the $3,000 software, And just to show a couple of the additional features of this, he's added this really cool momentum feature to the brush. And if we turn this up, it actually helps you smooth out your lines so that you can kind of gives you it's hard to explain, but it gives you a better feeling drawing. You can get very smooth curves by using the momentum feature. It just kind of pulls your brush along an axis. And then the other cool features are like the value decay here. Did you guys say something?
No, I think you're just getting some kind of echo reverb or something.
Oh, okay. All right. The other really cool feature here is like the value decay. This basically changes the brush value, which is basically the brush height, as you paint. So if we turn up the value decay, you can get some really cool effects where it basically falls off as you're brushing. I think that looks like some pretty cool whiskers there or something. I don't know. Keep in mind, I have not an artistic bone in my body, so I love having these features, but actually using them is very difficult for me, but I'm learning. Just to throw in a couple other things about it, there's more than one brush mode. So we do have smoothing. We have a smudge brush where you can just kind of bump stuff around a little bit. We have a subtractive brush, so we can actually brush in opposite here. Things like that. So yeah, that would be the main use case for like a, you know, a raster layer here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click done with this layer, and I'm just going to delete the raster layer that we created. Oh, wait. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead to edit mode. There you go.
There you go. I thought I clicked it, but I must have missed it. All right. So, so just to look at that versus a paths layer. So the paths layer was probably the hardest part for me starting out on this, because it's difficult. You have to memorize the controls. And in fact, one of my first emails with Charlie was about the paths layer and how I couldn't figure out what the buttons were, because I was up here, and these info buttons are actually very helpful, but this wasn't telling me about the paths. Well, it turns out, yeah, you're going to need to go edit the layer first, as you always do. Once you do, there's actually a nice dialog that comes up that tells you all of the different keystrokes. And I'm not going to lie, they're confusing, but at the same time, I don't think that there's much of a way you could get around this, because there's just so many operations when you're trying to edit a path. So just to demo this here, oops, that's not the button I was looking for. I wanted to turn on the grid. There we go. All right. You can turn on and off a sizing grid. You can also have snap to grid. In this case, I'm going to enable snapping to grid so I can make some pretty shapes for you here. And by pressing Control, we can add points. Oops, I wanted to stretch that. You know what? I'm going to start over on that one. I messed it up. Hold on. So basically, we can add a point here. We can stretch it out. We can add another point here. Pull that out. I'm just going to continue this process. All right. That should be good. And then once we have a path like this, we can do a lot of cool stuff with this path. So there's some very quick things we can do, which I'll show you later. But for now, the main feature I want to show you is what's called the Rails system. So now that I have this profile here, what I'm going to do...
It's called Sweet Paths.
Yes, Sweet Paths. Thank you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple additional profiles. So, oops, that was not what I wanted to do. Got to unselect, right click. Thank you. All right. So we're going to go ahead here and do Control, pull that out. We're going to do Control. No, I don't know what I did with this path here, but that should work. All right. And then we're going to do one more, and this time I'm not going to drag them out, which is going to, oops, and I keep doing that. Unselect. All right. I'm going to do one more of these, and I'm going to use a triangle this time. Let's do maybe like a big triangle. Like, oh, that's terrible. All right, let's try this again. How about a little bit smaller triangle, maybe? Reselect this. There we go. All right. Well, I'm going to have to start over here. I'm sure Charlie's a lot better at this demo. This is what I mean by the different keystrokes. Like every time if I don't have a point that's connected, I lose my place and I have trouble getting back. All right, that's what I was looking for. All right, so what we're going to look at is doing basically this Rails system. So if I pick the main path that I want to use and I tell it to use that selection as Rails, and then I click the additional paths and I say this one here, I want to use this as a profile. And this one here, I want to use as a profile. All right. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and I want to use the triangle. I'm going to use it as a profile twice. So I'm going to add this one twice here. Then you can click each one and you can move them. So that one I want in the middle. And this just gives you a scale of where this is placed along this rail. All right. And then we have a final one, and we're going to move that all the way to the other side. And when we're done, we can press generate. And what we'll get is a shape that smoothly transitions between the end profile to the circle in the middle and back to that same end profile. This is pretty much limitless possibilities, really, when you think about it. And if I say done, you know, I can take this this resultant raster layer here, hide the paths layer, and I can duplicate that layer a few times, drag it out, create all kinds of cool shapes here, patterns, whatever you'd like. So it's a really neat
That's pretty
feature.
cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, I was really impressed by this, and I've never seen anything like this actually in other software. I don't know, Harley, where you got an idea for this, but this is an awesome feature if you're trying to do artwork. So like right there, I'm seeing like a predator mask. Maybe I am artistic. Like I feel like I could push that out into like the predator's face or something, but it's pretty cool. So that's the paths to rails feature. Moving right along here. Hopefully I'm not taking too much time.
No, you're fine. Take as much as you want.
All right. So I'll go ahead and get rid of, oops. Oh, yeah, I could have merged those together, but I'm just going to go ahead and delete these one by one or clear them here. So we're starting with a blank slate again. All right. Just to show, this should be a quick one. Text layers are pretty self-explanatory. So if we create a text layer, and then we edit the text. Oh, what happened?
Disappeared.
This is most likely just my streaming software. Hold on, give me 1 second. I lost the feed there. Let's see if I can get it back.
There it is.
Is it back?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. Back to text layer here. There we go. All right. Losing my mouse too. All right. Text layer, edit text. So without going into too much detail, because I think it's pretty obvious, but we can then whatever text we want. We can pick a font. We can change the size. Change the spacing between the letters.
Cool.
Pretty simple stuff. So, you know, you could pick whatever font you want. I don't know. And you can, if you want to adjust the height of it, you could even adjust it using the arrow, or you can set the layer height up here. So yeah, I'll go ahead and just hide that layer. And next, let's see here. Oh, actually, I don't want to hide that layer yet. Sorry. So one of the other cool features is sometimes, you know, this is going to be a 3D toolpath. You could cut this with the end mill or something in 2D just by doing a profile, or you could do a 3D end mill, you know, with a ball nose on it. But there's another option if you want to do more, you know, profiles or do a V carving. What you can do is just when you're done, you can click trace text to paths, which just go ahead and hit trace, And done. And now we have a new paths layer, which is basically SVG, if you remember from earlier, that now we can use for whatever we'd like for different operations. So one other thing I wanted to show here, we'll go back to the text layer. All right. Is that we can take this text layer, because it is still a special type of layer in PIXEL CNC, and we can copy it to a raster layer, which would then be a traditional 3D layer, if you remember from earlier. And now that we have this 3D raster layer, we can use the raster tools on it. If I hit edit raster, and just one other feature that, again, Charlie threw in here and I was really blown away by, is the circular tiling feature, which can work on any raster. So if I go ahead and I click circular tiling here, let's see here. I think we need to make that a little bigger. There we go. Maybe scale it down a little bit. We can pick how many times we want the word to repeat, how big the radius is. We can scale the radius, scale the text up and down, and we can even choose the offset. So if we want to line it up, you know, with if we want to line it up just right, we can just move the offset to circle it until we have just what we want. So that was another really cool feature. And you can compost multiple layers together with text circles, or these can even be images, rings of stars, rings of anything you can put in a raster layer. So that's really neat feature. All right.
I saw we had a question. Can you download different fonts? And if I'm correct, you can. It reads your Windows fonts, correct?
Yeah, it'll enumerate all of the TrueType and OpenType fonts that you have installed on your system, and then those will be available in the text editing mode when you create a text layer. You'll be able to see them all. There's also a character map that allows you to look at the characters inside of the font, so you can just manually pick different ones. Like if you have a dingbat font and you want to look for a specific shape or something, you can literally bring the font up as a set of characters and pick and choose, drop them into your layer.
That is cool.
Cool. Give me one sec here, because for the next part, I just realized that I didn't copy one of my files to a folder, but I will grab that. It'll only take me 1 sec. I knew I had to mess up something. Here it is.
Oh, you're doing good.
Charlie,
right.
is it capable of doing like the font around a different shape other than a circle?
Yeah, so there's also a function where you can take a raster layer or a text layer and you can route it along a path or between two parallel paths that, you know, they could be slightly wavy or misshapen or whatever, and it'll map everything either just centered along one path or between the two paths.
Wow.
Well, that's
Yeah, I wanted to just put stuff in there that was stuff that I wanted to use to make some of the things that we sell, some of the signs that my wife and I sell. So that was something that I had to do in Photoshop, even though I was using PIXEL CNC for the toolpath. I didn't have a way to make text, you know, go in like a wavy shape like she designed it to. So I just added that in.
That's awesome.
I was just recently designing a round for like a door hanger round, and it had writing around the outside. And man, trying to get that situated on like making it even and all that was a real big pain in the butt. And I was like, yeah, it's like 2 clicks. Done. Man.
Yeah, I tried to make it just as painless as possible.
Yeah. Well, it really is awesome for anybody who does sign making or wall art, even cabinetry and door fronts, drawer fronts. You can do some really cool stuff here. So it is definitely geared toward artistic. So as far as designing like flat pack or something, you could do it in this, but there's better software for that. But when it comes to art, I don't know of any better software actually. So I'm still learning it, but it's been fantastic. So just jumping back in, hopefully I haven't lost the audience yet, because I have just a little bit more, so I'm almost done. I think I've went way over what I said that I was going to
You're
take.
completely fine, man. That's all right.
Okay. I didn't really, I ran through this, but I guess when I run through it in my head without talking, it's a lot faster.
That's all right. You know, one time we did an unboxing video or during the show, and I think it was 2.5 to 3 hours long of putting the thing together and all that. And it was just, hey, that's what it is. Here we go.
Yeah.
Everybody hung out for it. It was awesome.
Right. Cool. All right. Well, thank you again for having us, for sure. So,
Oh yeah,
Yeah, thanks, guys.
yeah.
this is fascinating. I dig it.
Yeah, it definitely takes some getting used to. I mean, the transition for me for Carvico to this, it wasn't too difficult, but there's definitely some learning things, you know. I'll explain to you more when I get into like the tool paths and the finally doing the cut on your project. You do have to have some knowledge about how to compost the different tool paths together. Like if you're going to do a relief, what do you need? What bits do you need? Things like that. We're working on trying to make it more interesting to learn, or more easy to learn and interesting. And actually that reminds me something that I left off, just to segue real quick. There is actually some interactive tutorials built in here that you can run through. This is a newer feature, and Charlie's been spending a lot of time adding these different tutorials to it. I don't want to start one up right now because it'll make me load a project file. There are sample projects to go with them, but it actually kind of guides you through click by click what to do and explains how it works. We also have 3 videos on the Deafware YouTube channel that Charlie did a good job on, that are really good to get you started if you're new to the program. So back to this anyways. So I want to show you the next feature. So I'm just going to go ahead and clear the canvas again. Oops. Go. No.
The edit mode.
There we go. Yep. Still in edit mode. All right. Got it. All right. So one of the other features that really struck me, like kind of wowed me about this, is it does a fantastic job at importing images and doing a height map for engravings. So if I create a layer, and this time I'm going to do load an image or vector as a raster layer. That means basically take an image and create a 3-dimensional object out of it. Let's see here. And just to show really quick, I have 2. Boy, everybody's getting to see my messy desktop.
I know, we can't even see it right now. We still just see PIXEL CNC right here.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, never mind then.
Yeah, there you go.
So I have I don't understand. There it is. Don't understand why it's so hard to find things. So I have 2 small demos for this. So one of them is just an SVG file, and just to show, this is what happens if you load an SVG. This is a path. It's just a flat 2-dimensional drawing of this outline, and you'll notice it's actually inverted, or it's opposite. But all we have to do to change that is click the invert button. Wait, why is that not inverting? Oh, I have to hit apply. Sorry. Once you apply that change, now we'll have the opposite, and we can blend this into our image any way we want, which is pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. And then we'll go ahead and do the same operation, except we're going to load an actual picture that I took in New York several years ago. And this is a picture I actually have an Instructable that I'm working on how to engrave a photo in this software. So just to look at it starting off, you'll see that when it imports, that's pretty bad, right? It's not, it's not usable in that format. Let's put it that way. zooming out, it looks pretty good. However, all we have to do is use the smoothing function, which is also another really amazing function, and apply a few pixels of smoothing to the image. That's probably too much, actually. And the image instantly becomes, a lot more usable here. Still a little rough. And maybe 3. No, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry. 5. Let's try 5. 5 looks like it would be pretty good to start. And so obviously there's more touch up that would need to be done on this. There's some other tools to perfect this photo and make it nice. Like I said, I have an Instructable coming out eventually that's going to show you how to do that on this exact photo. But for now, one thing I just wanted to point it out, it was another one of those wow moments when I found that feature. There's a native or inherent problem with doing a image like this, and that is that it's using the brightness of the image or the color value of the image to determine how high the contours of the shape are. And when you have things like shadows, you end up with these very sharp parts under the bridge, which this really kind of throws the image off. And so you can see that's something I forgot to do. Also, I have the size of this way too high, which is this should probably be more like 0.25 total Z size here. There we go. That's much more like what I was expecting. But we see we have these areas that are just really low if we zoom down on them. Why do I have... Oh, let me just put that down so we can...
This tool seems like it'd be great for litho paint.
Yeah, it does. And I think, Charlie, I haven't actually used the halftone features. Maybe Charlie can talk about that a little bit afterwards. But there's some other photo features in here, too, that are really cool that I haven't used yet. But yeah, this would make a great litho paint for sure. Just to show this shadow area here. So if I do... I keep accidentally going off my monitor here. So if I click this and I edit this raster layer, we have some different features here. Did I put this in here? Sorry, 1 second, guys. All right, well, I left it out, but one of the most important features, I'm just going to throw it in there really quick. I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but for a photo like this, there's an adjust levels tool here. There are several different modes that you can adjust, ways you can adjust the level. But what this does is basically this graph represents the lowest parts of the resultant 3D layer and the highest parts. And so you can use the slider, depending on which end you click, to bring down the highest parts of the image and bring up the lowest parts. In fact, if you go all the way opposite here, it's going to actually invert the image for you. And this is really good for tweaking things. However, you notice that this is affecting the entire image, right? And really right now, I'm just going to cancel that, but I'm really focused on the... I'm really focused on this low spot here. So what I can do about that low spot is we have some really cool area selection tools here. And I just want to focus on just this magic tool, which he added. This is really cool. So if we go here and we click the area and then we kind of start moving this up here, try click it again. Is that inverted, Charlie? Or is that, I think it needs to be inverted, right? Yeah, I hope. So this is basically selecting an area of the canvas that is only at a certain height. And so here we've got most of this area settled. And once I've done that selection, if I hit done and I go into levels, I can actually bring just the level of that part up and adjust it and kind of tweak it until I get just what I'm looking for, kind of match this, and it definitely takes an eye and some time. I don't want to sit here and waste everybody's time trying to get it perfect, but for just a quick shot at that, if I go back in here, I don't know why I've got the, let me hit done here. Yeah, so I didn't quite raise that enough, but with a good eye and a little bit of time and tweaking, you can actually just bring that one area up and align it. And then in my tutorial, what I'll do next actually is use the, there's still a little bit of line visible, so I'll use the painting brushes to actually remove that line and kind of just get rid of that shadow. Really, really powerful, actually. So,
Sweet. That's pretty neat. I like that.
yeah, it's, I mean, it takes time. I won't lie. I've spent, 3-4 hours just trying to get one photo perfect. But if you're willing to invest the time into converting a photo like this and using the level tool and touching it up, I mean, you can get a perfect result with the software. It's really great. So, all right. So, couple more demos and I'm done here, guys. Just quickly, let me go ahead and trash that one.
We had a question from Roger.
Yeah. Yeah. Roger was trying to download the program, but he's getting a malware warning from his antivirus.
Oh yeah. So the situation there is that we don't digitally sign our the binary that you download, which is you have to sign it with a certificate that you acquire from a central certificate authority. And the situation there is that Microsoft decides what warnings are going to be shown, and Google too nowadays. But there's no actual malware. As long as you got the file from our site, you don't have to worry about any malware. But you are going to see warnings though because it's unsigned. Unknown publisher is what you'll see it say. Yeah, all I can tell you is as long as it's from our site, you don't have to worry about any viruses or malware.
No, yeah, it's absolutely safe, but security software will yell about that unsigned certificate. We do hope to have a certificate issued soon, though, and that warning will go away. So
Cool.
Awesome.
Very cool.
All
I
right.
can't remember. I didn't remember seeing one when I downloaded mine.
Yeah.
If you're used to downloading different programs that are unsigned and just running them, then yeah, you don't even notice when that happens anymore.
Yeah. A lot of it depends on what antivirus software you're running and how high you've turned up the protection. So if you have it on a paranoia level, it'll actually, flat out block that kind of stuff, but generally not dangerous though. All right, back to it. So we're just going to go ahead and wrap this up here. I just got just a couple more things that are pretty quick here. Just want to demonstrate loading a vector as a paths layer. And I have this same palm leaf here. So this is what that image I originally loaded looks like when you load it as a vector image. And we have, let's see here. So we have, just quickly, if you wanted to turn this into a 3D object really quick, which I didn't show this feature yet, you can use the feature called Shapes from Paths. What this will do is add a shape to fill in. I think Charlie was showing some of this earlier. But if I do Shapes from Paths and pick something like a chamfered shape, or let's do fillet this time. I like to use super quality. I don't know what that means, but I like the sound of it.
It doubles the resolution, so it's actually higher resolution than the canvas.
I mean, with that button there, I don't think I could do it without clicking. All right. And if we generate that and we just get a nice smooth trace of the shape here, which if I hide the SVG underneath, you can see we now have this raster layer that's we can compost into other raster layers, do whatever we want with. I know I skipped something somewhere here because I didn't show the shape tool. So let me just real quick. Charlie kind of showed it a little bit, but on this SVG paths layer here, or actually I'll just add a new one so I don't get confused. And just so you know, I'm trying to go quickly. You can actually name all these different layers and things. So if you go up here, you can change the name of this so you don't get confused. You know, I can call it my new layer or whatever I want. And that way it's, you know, people get confused like I am right now trying to figure out which layer is which. So, all right. Just quickly here, edit. Wait, no. Layer paths. I forgot to show this earlier when I was on this section, but this is the super shape tool, which Charlie's been working on. And I think he has a lot of plans to add more shapes to this, but we have a lot of preset shapes here that you can stamp down. Circles, you know, would be one example. I mean, obviously everybody knows what a circle is. Little more difficult ones like a star here. And any of these we can kind of go through here and change some functions about it. I don't fully understand this, but I know when I move the sliders around, I get some pretty cool shapes sometimes. So yeah, it's pretty cool. You can make all kinds of shapes, and this would be a great feature, you know, for making decorations for like a cabinet door or something. And any of these you can do the same kind of things on. When you're done, you can just go ahead and if you want it to be a more three-dimensional image, do shapes from paths and pick a fillet shape or whatever you want. Make sure you got super quality checked and done. And you can see now we've got these decorations, 3D shapes. So,
Oh, wow.
so sorry, I had to go backwards there for a second. I skipped that one. All right.
And you can invert those too so that it's cutting down into the material for that too.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep. Oh, definitely. Yeah. That's the mysterious Z height feature, which really perplexed me when I first started using the program. But basically, just for grins here, if I do a new raster layer, this is the easiest way to show what that is so you don't get hung up like I did when you first try the program. So if I do a new blank raster layer, this layer actually has no volume. It only has volume when you put things into it. However, if you want to do a negative, so you're going to want to carve down, what you want to do is just add a Z-fill to the volume. And once you add a Z-fill like that, now this is actually represented by a solid layer. So basically, we've now filled our material to the top.
Make sure you hit apply there real quick.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. And if I were to add shapes now, I'm pretty sure I can, well, I don't want to go too far off target because I'll mess this up and get in the weeds. So, but once I know it'll happen. But once you do the Z-fill, now you have material which you can then cut a negative into. So just watch out for that if you're trying to do a negative carving. That's exactly what it does. And you can do that on a layer per layer basis as long as you're in a raster type layer. So, all right. So let me get rid of that raster layer I just created, put the palm leaf back. So finally, we're almost wrapping it up here. So I just wanted to talk about tools and tool paths. So, all right. One of the most common tool paths, you know, that you'll see people wanting to do is V carving. And does Pixel CNC do V carving? It does actually, and it does a pretty good job at it. So first, to do that, I've cleared my whole tool library here. You can save 10 tools or have 10 tools in any given project. I think you can save multiple tool lists.
You can save up to 32 tools in your configuration.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
They should all be Ginny bits.
So I just killed all of mine because I just wanted to show the process of creating them. So for the last two little parts of this demo, I'm just going to go ahead and add 3 tools to the library here. So the first tool I'm going to add is going to be a standard, everybody has one, I hope, a 90-degree 0.5-inch V-bit.
Yep.
That is terrible typing, but that should at least, I don't know if I should put point in there. Put 90-degree, about 90-degree half. That sounds a lot better. All right. And then we go ahead and we have only 4 types of bits to pick from. We're going to go ahead and pick a V-bit in this case, obviously. And the default right out of the box is for a 1/2-inch V-bit. So that looks perfect. All right. So we have a V-bit in our library now. We're going to add a second tool here because the probably second most common tool is going to be your 1/4 end mill. All right. An end mill is going to be a type of bit cylinder. It's a cylinder. In particular, this is going to be a rounded cylinder by default here. So this is more like a
Ball nose.
ball nose. Thank you. This is more like a ball nose, but all we have to do here is remove this corner radius and apply that. And now we have a flat end mill. And in particular, we want the flute diameter here to be 0.25. So there's a 1/4-inch end mill for you. All right.
And just a little tidbit of info for people. When you're in almost every value text box where you can enter a value, you can also enter simple math equations. So if you don't want to think like 0.0625, you can just do 1/16 and it'll calculate what 1/16 is for you.
I didn't know that, Charlie. Thank you.
Now you know, yeah.
And here I've been sitting here like several times. I'm like, wait, what is the radius of a 1/16 ball nose again? It's half of 0.0625.
It was a user requested feature, just like the tool library itself.
Nice. Yeah, in the one video that you did, Charlie or Leon, it talking about like thousands. It's 20 thousandths thick and all this. I'm like, how deep is that? I don't even know right off.
No,
it's pretty small. I just know it's pretty small.
Yeah. No, in the same way. I'm probably strange with this. I don't know if I'm going to get booed out of the room, but after doing 3D printing for a while, I kind of find metric easier because I don't know. It's millimeters. There's 10 of them. It's easy. Like it's not 1/16.0625, but
working with my father at his shop, everything's in inches because we're doing manufacturing for contracts. I mean, there's the whole United States, the infrastructure for all the manufacturing is all in inches. So that's what I know. That's what I learned. And yeah, I know that metric would be a lot easier. And that was one of the things that was difficult while developing PIXEL CNC was that automatically I was starting out in inches because that's what I knew. That's what my machine is, all my cutters, everything. And even some of the tools that I inherited from my father. So it was a bit of a chore to really like get metric to function properly in PIXEL CNC because I had to go back to everywhere where it was all hard coded to be inches and make it so it could change between projects seamlessly. Yeah, metric. I don't see the United States converting to metric anytime soon because it's going to cost a lot of money to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but you know what? The auto industry kind of already has.
Yeah, true.
Somewhat.
There's, everything is metric now on pretty much all the cars.
Yeah, they're trying to get it in everywhere they can, and as long as our government and just the manufacturing infrastructure that's there has to be replaced to go to metric, I mean, who's going to pay for all that? And then the benefit on that, the cost benefit, it's just, inches are working pretty good. Let's keep going, you know?
Yeah.
I do on my CNC stuff. It's all inches, and then when same like Leon, when you do 3D printing and stuff, it's all millimeters. And I don't know why, but it just makes sense that way.
Yeah.
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 That's
It's just the tenths. It's all tenth scale.
Yeah.
That's what, instead of the 12 really throws everything off. I
Yeah.
only have, I don't have 12 fingers. If I had 12 fingers, inches would make more sense. We count to 10, but don't get me wrong, both are fine for me. A CNC, exactly as you say, it's definitely inches because, I mean, my collets for my router, even I got a 1/4 inch collet. I have an 1/8 inch collet. The bits are going to be 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch. I'm not even going to go looking on the internet for an 1/8 inch collet 3 millimeter bit. I just no,
Yeah.
thank you. So it's all inches for sure.
Metric's great until you run your hand into a table saw.
Oh, I think most things are great until you run your hand into a table saw. Oh man.
That's fun.
I'm sorry, Leon. We interrupted.
I'm gonna have to hit my button in a minute.
Intermission.
Yeah, excuse me for a second.
There you go.
All right. I'm gonna have to use that one. All right. Getting slap happy here. Let me wrap it up really quick, and then because I feel like I want to give you guys your show back. I'm taking way too much time here, so cool.
This is what we do. It's all good.
All right. Let's see. Where was I? What was the last? Oh, I'm adding bits. All right. Last bit I need is a 16th ball nose. A lot of people use an 1/8. I like to use a 16th. I think it gives me the cleanest results. It takes forever, but all right. So we're going to add in this case, we can do a cylinder tool or a tapered tool. I'm just going to use the cylinder. Most of mine are not tapered. And we're going to need a 1/16 bit. Thank you, Charlie, for the awesome tip. So I don't have to type in 0.03125 or whatever it is. 1/16. Nice. And then we need to add a radius to that. The radius is going to be half of the bit diameter.
It's automatically going to clamp the corner radius to half of the flute diameter. You can't have a corner radius that is larger than basically the radius of the cylindrical shape itself. So if you just put in any number, yeah, it'll just automatically put in the correct thing.
Oh, I better not crash when I do this, Charlie. I'm trusting you.
Yeah, better.
1 billion corner radius. Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
See, easy way to do it would just be just type 1.
Yeah, that's what I do all the time.
Awesome. All right. So now we have our 16th ball nose in place here. All right. And oops, except I forgot to name it. Tool 1/16 ball nose. And I am ball nose. There we go. All right. Done. All right. So now that we have some bits, I can show you some actual toolpath generation here. There's just 2 toolpaths I'm going to show you. The first is back over here. I'm going to do a V carving toolpath on this leaf design. So if I go back here to the leaf design, basically you have, this is where you set your tools. We have these 4 icons in the top row here. The next one's going to be your operations. These are your toolpaths. So I'm going to create a new operation. I will not have time to go through all of these tool paths, and you're welcome. Charlie could probably do a lot better of explaining different use cases for all of them. There's definitely some really creative ones here. The labyrinth toolpath I've been meaning to try, especially. But there are basically different kinds of toolpaths galore available. You have your 3D toolpaths here, your 2.5D toolpaths, and then some other specialty cuts. In particular, medial access carving is V-carving. Something that really helps is if you hover over them, they give you like the different use cases for each tool path. So you can see like for medial access carving, it's for V carvings, B carvings, engravings. I don't know what a B carving is, but
It's basically like a B carving, but with a ball nose bit.
Okay.
Yeah, so it cuts the shape out by raising and lowering the ball nose as it goes along, just like with a B carving with a V bit.
Cool. I
don't remember where I saw that. It was just something I saw, and I thought, oh, I could add that in too.
Yeah, that's an easy one to add for sure. All right. So this is where I didn't put any notes in here. I'm doing this from memory, so hopefully I don't mess it up here. So what we need to do here, we have the settings panel over on the right. And the first thing I need to do is tell it how deep I want it to cut. So in this case, I'm going to go 0.2 inches. Wait, what? I got an error. What did I do? We can hit ignore tool lengths here for this demo.
So because we couldn't see that just now on the stream, but it popped up an error message saying that your cut depth was deeper than your selected tool could allow. Yeah, so you just enabled ignore, I forget what it says exactly, ignore tool lengths. And that'll allow you to put in a cut depth as deep as you want to go, or your max depth as deep as you want to go. The max depth is always restricted to the Z size of your canvas volume, though. Just something to keep in mind.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. I don't know why it was telling me that, though. Maybe I didn't. I swear Oh, wait. Did I assign a bit to this? That's why. Because I didn't actually assign a bit to I didn't assign the V bit to this yet, which is what I keep doing. And I almost freaked out on Charlie earlier because something wasn't coming out right before getting ready for this presentation. And it's just
had the wrong tool selected.
I'm not selecting the right tool. I got, all right. So V bit, got it now. All right. And we'll do a path that's 0.2. What we need to do here for the contour is select the paths layer and then pick the paths layer that we want to trace. And there we go. And this should actually generate a tool path, I think, unless I'm mistaken. Let's give it a try. All right, we generated a tool path with a V-carve operation. And this is where the simulation panel comes in. So if we click on the operation here, go back to the beginning. Hopefully I didn't screw this up. We'll see. I think the max cut depth may have been set wrong. Is it carving?
Yeah, it looks like it's staying on the top. You got to set your max cutting depth down.
I forgot that one feature. So we can just go at any point in time. I lost it again. Hold, please.
Please stand by.
Yeah, I think this has a lot to do with, I don't usually have these problems. I think it has a lot to do with the streaming. It's maybe just a lot going on right now. So, all right. But
StreamYard's a hog.
We are back to simulate. Oh, I got to go to the operation. And I'm going to set the max depth here to 0.2 as well. That looks like a tool path that I wanted to see. All right, so this will so this should generate the V carving tool path using this leaf. And if we go to the operation here, hopefully it doesn't crash. We can see our demo of our V carved leaf now. I think I went a little too
So that
deep.
means it didn't go deep enough.
Oh, I didn't go deep enough.
It's kind of still following along the sides there.
So Yeah, I probably should have picked 0.25 for a 0.25. 0.25. Let me go back over here to operation. Change this to 0.25. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to make this perfect, but, and then rewind this. Let's see here. There we go. So, and now we have this VCarve toolpath. You can do the same thing with text, which is why I showed that tracing text to paths, because that's what you'd want to do. If you want to VCarve text, you would create a text layer, type some text into it, trace it to a paths layer, then apply a VCarve operation, and now you have your VCarving. So that's...
And you can actually directly generate VCarving toolpaths from the canvas. So you can create a text layer, and then in the medial axis carving operation parameters, you can set a plane to contour the canvas at, to extract contours, and then you just tell it to invert it, because it's going to want to cut everything outside. So if you have text that's I guess positive instead of subtractive, if you have a text layer sitting there, you can have the operation trace the layer, and then it'll invert it so that it cuts inside the text. And then, so you can basically skip tracing it to a paths layer first.
I did not know that either.
Cool.
I have a lot to learn about this software still, for sure.
Yeah, and there are multiple ways to go about doing basically anything you want. And I thought that might be a bad thing for a while, but then I realized that make it easier for people to learn, because if they have any previous experience with anything else, there might be a way that works in PIXEL CNC, just because there's multiple ways to do something that they'll already know how to do, and they can figure their way through it.
Right. Absolutely. I think all the CNC software is like that, really. I mean,
yeah,
I run into the same stuff, you know, in any of them. I spent so much time training on Carvico, and I still had a lot of problems using it, or I was doing something one way, and then I watch a video and somebody does it a completely different way, and I'm like, wow, that was like way easier. Why am I not doing that? You know, yeah. That's not going to change with this. There's definitely a lot of different ways to accomplish the task. I'm exactly the same thing. This is the way I know so far. So definitely, Charlie, if I'm doing something wrong, yell, because
no, it works. It works.
Yeah, it worked.
Wrong.
Yay. All right.
Sweet.
Last demo. I'm almost done here. And it should be a pretty short one. I've actually done this operation several times. So let's go back to the beginning here. Let's nuke that operation. And then nuke the layer. Right. And so the final one is that I want to show is doing a relief type carving. Because I know this is a really common thing that people, when they first get their machine and they want to, you know, carve the 3D images and stuff. Mm-hmm. So to do that, if you don't want to design the image right in PIXEL CNC, like most people start out, you just want to pull some STL or something off the internet that you saw. It's really deceptively easy, actually, to go straight from pulling a 3D model in to cutting it. And so to do that, we're going to create the last type of layer here, which is load geometry as a model layer. And what this means is basically load a 3D layer, or a 3D model, excuse me, into a raster layer. So I have, again, I'm glad you can't see this. Got my folder. So I picked this cozy little welcome bear model that I had laying around. Another thing just to point out, obviously this is scaled so that it runs into the edges of your canvas here. We don't really want that. So thankfully, again, strange shortcuts. If I just try to scale this, you know, it's going to scale all wonky, and, you know, so I don't want to do that. But if we look at the info here, it gives you a quick, oh, you guys can't see that again because
yeah, I can't see that.
Yeah, it's another window pop up. But if we use the info button, it gives you a nice little pop-up that basically details the keys for working with things on the canvas. And in this case, I can see that I want to use Control Shift, I believe it is, which will allow me to scale uniformly and around the center point. So now I can scale this image to fit, you know, in the middle of my canvas, something a little better like that. The other thing I'm going to do really quick here is I noticed I reset my Pixel CNC earlier and my canvas size has changed, but I'd like a canvas size of actually 0.75, 3/4 inch wood. All right. And then back over to the bear image here. And currently you can see that the Z size of the bear, this value is pretty important. He's 0.5 inches. I think I like that. But you also notice then over on the right side here, you have the origin of the model, how deep it is into the stock. And it's all the way at the bottom right now, and I don't want that. What I actually want is I want to move it up just 1/4 inch. So I'm going to go with -0.5 here, and that'll move that model up just a little bit. And that looks pretty good. And then I don't want the model to be 1/2 inch. That's pretty deep. I think I just want it to be maybe 0.25, 1/4 inch of depth. So we'll go ahead and apply that. And there we go. That's probably a little closer to what I'm looking for there. I can also, let's say done here. All right. Oh wait. Sorry. Once I have him loaded up, I can add a Z fill here. So just to demonstrate that Z fill feature, if I were to add a 0.25 Z fill here, apply, that'll put a nice background behind him. So this is bringing the base of the canvas up to 0.25 inches. All right, now we have the bear. He looks pretty good. I mean, honestly, I'd do a little more work. We could trace the model to paths here, or sorry, we're going to copy him to a raster layer. And we'll just get rid of our original thing here. All right, now we have our new model here. If I wanted to get creative, I can add a text layer really quick. Oops, I grabbed the, there we go. This down here somewhere. I don't know. This is the bear. You know, very creative. I can set that to also be at the same depth here. So we'll make it 0.25 as well. We'll set the Z origin to -0.5. Hopefully I'm not getting too confused with the numbers. You can play with this stuff, you know, on your own models. Maybe apply a little bit of smoothing to that. I just wanted to show this quick feature there. So we've smoothed it. When you have multiple 3D layers like this, you notice this is 2 layers now. We have that text layer and the raster layer. Oops, hang on. Actually, I need to take this text layer, sorry, and copy the text layer to a raster layer and get rid of that. So now I have 2 3D raster layers. And what I can actually do is click one and say merge down the layer. And now we just composted that into a single image, so or a single 3D model. With the paid version, if I was happy with this, I can go ahead and export this as an STL, and someone could import it in their software and use it. You can fully export your designs and things like that. That is a limitation of the trial, though, that you can't export your designs out, just so you are aware. So, all right, let's cut this thing, and then I think we'll be all good. So typically what you're going to want, at least how I do it, because it's how I learned in Carvico, is if I'm doing a 3D relief type carving, I'm going to use 2 bits. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. And I'm going to rough it. Then I'm going to go over it with my ball nose, either 1/8, or in this case, I'm going to demo a 1/16. And that's going to be my finished project. So I'm going to add a new operation. In this case, I won't tell you how I figured it out. It can be confusing, take some playing, but in particular, read the descriptions. I found that the 2.5D offset milling is the best one for roughing for me, or the most like what I'm used to for roughing a 3D model out. So we're going to go ahead and do that toolpath. We're going to make sure we're not using a V-bit. Thank you from earlier. We're going to change that to the 1/4 inch end mill. I'm going to say I want the max depth to be the bottom. So we can just click this bottom area, cut all the way to the bottom unless you run into part of the model is what this is basically saying. And this is a 2.5D toolpath, meaning it will generate multiple layers of cuts depending on what you set in the cut depth. I would usually go a little deeper, but for this demo, just so you can get a good visual of it, I'm going to do a cut depth of 0.1. So each pass will be 0.1. And I'm also setting it here now. This is very important when you're doing a 3D relief to leave some stock behind. This is how much stock you're going to leave behind for that ball nose bit to clean up. So I'm just going to leave a 0.03 maybe should be fine. Just a little bit of stock. So that way that ball nose can come over and clear the last little bit. I think that should be all we need to set. But if this messes up, forgive me. What did I just...
So there was a little space between the model and the top of the canvas volume. So it's basically cutting all that stuff out until it gets down to the model.
Oh, I shortened the model too much, didn't I?
Yeah, it's fine though. Go ahead and show the simulation.
Yeah, let's check the simulation. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't have shortened the model down to 0.25. I'm doing this kind of off the top of my head. So, but yeah, let's look at the simulation. I just noticed too, though, I do need to fix that. I did that with an 8% step over on a 1/4 inch bit. So that's why there's so many toolpaths. Let me change that to something more reasonable. For a 1/4 inch bit, you're going to want to use, 50% step over. That'll be a lot better. There we go.
There we go.
All right. Just so you know, this top menu up here has all the different features, so you can toggle all this stuff on and off, the grid on and off, snapping to grid on and off, adjust if the grid is enabled, you can make the grid size bigger or finer. But we're going to go ahead and turn this eyeball is your best friend when you're working with something like this. This hides the tool paths layer so that you can see. So I turn those off. We'll look at the simulation here. Click the operation. And this is basically now a 3D roughing pass. The simulation can actually play through as well. If we turn the speed way up here, that's pretty fast. But so, similar to other software, you can watch the simulation play through in real time, or you can just go ahead and jump straight to the end. And happened again. Oh, this actually never happens to me. So I know this has got to have something with capturing the window and streaming and doing all this other stuff.
You said you're using OBS for that?
Yeah, I'm doing a window capture in OBS, and
StreamYard's kind of salty too with the space.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah, I'm absolutely not saying the program is like 100% bug free. I found
it's been a process getting
Yeah.
some different things worked out over the years.
Yeah, but Charlie's super good at fixing them if I do find something going on. However, this is, generally, honestly, I never have this problem, so I'm kind of baffled. But anyways, so, and we reverse that. I need to fix my operation again. Back to 50% step over for this. Oops. All right. All right. And so just looking at the simulation, this is what we can expect. Toolpaths on and off. All right, and so now we have that roughed. We've got the bulk of the material taken off. We're going to go ahead and do the final operation. And the second to last line on my little page of things I'm supposed to do here, which is to add the 16th ball nose here. So for that, I'm not going to again tell you how I figured it out, but the tool path of choice when you're cutting a relief is going to be the 3D carving parallel line cut path, aka parallel carving, what I used to call a raster tool path, but in Pixel CNC that's confusing because of raster layers. So
Oh yeah.
but all right, so we will add that. This is where I want a really small step over, so maybe point. If you toggle this, you can change between whether you want step over as an absolute value or step over as percent. I'd like to use a nice low, like 8% step over. It's like almost no sanding at that point, but it takes like an eon. Go to sleep, it'll be done in the morning kind of thing. I forget it. Emergency stop buttons. Who needs those?
Are your cut depths all set?
Not yet. So for the cut depth on this path, I usually just set it all the way to the bottom of the canvas because once it runs into a model, it's going to stop anyways. So we're going to do 0.75 for the cut depth, max depth, all the way to the bottom. That should be all we need to do, actually, unless I'm forgetting something. No, that looks. Oh, here we go.
Wow, almost got you again.
See, and this is set the correct bit for the operation. Don't do it with a 1/4-inch end mill. All right, let's apply that. And again, the hide tool paths is your best friend. If you zoom way down on this, you can see this is actually a million little tool paths here, but it just kind of turns blue. So if we turn off the tool paths, there's our model. Hopefully I can get through this last little part here. If we go to the simulation here, and I can start from the beginning. All right. And if we play that simulation and turn the speed up again, I'm not going to let this play all the way through because even at high speed, it's going to take forever. But basically, when we're finished, that happened again. You know, it seems to be happening when I'm hitting end simulation. It might just be that it's grabbing too much resources from my video card, like you were mentioning earlier, and causing it to end there.
Simulation can be very taxing. It depends on your simulation resolution setting and how complex the toolpath is.
Yeah, I've never had that happen in the simulation before, so I'm sure it's got to be this screen capture combo that's causing something to happen there. But yeah, it's cool anyways. So this, luckily, it's right where it is. So this is the ending simulation.
So that's the cut right there.
Yep. And if you back it up, you can even see, you know, this is the tool path. So that's how you carve a 3D relief in Pixel CNC. The only thing left to do is to export your G code, which is just a save button here. Oops, sorry, that was my save project. The other one, the other save. And so one thing I want to point out, another thing that struck me that I really liked is the ability to change how the operations export. This is cool. If you want to do something where you're doing some pocketing along with some 3D engraving, where you do a 3D rough and a pocket and you're using a 1/4-inch end mill for both of those. I haven't seen this in any other CNC software actually. So it can take those 1/4-inch tool paths, even though they're different operations, and just combine them all into one G code file, which I thought was pretty nice and handy. Or you can just export them individually still, or export them all combined. I'm assuming this would be a use case if you're rich and have a tool changer. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So if you can already put all your tools in there at the tool slots that you've assigned those definitions to, generate all your tool paths. The combine mode is for using if you have a tool changer, so it'll automatically bring up the next tool and then keep going with the next operation.
Yeah.
Nice. So
Yeah.
the new Onefinity with when they do the tool changers on those, it can be used with that easy.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, as long as it's, I'm assuming as long as it uses the standard G codes for tool changing, it should have no problem with it.
And even if you have a controller that isn't like a regular Mach 3 compatible or Gerbil, Pixel CNC does have a post processor system that is, I try to make it as simple as possible, but you control the dialect or the formatting of your G code through the post processor scripts that I came up with. So you should theoretically be able to make Pixel CNC output G code for any CNC controller that you come across.
Sweet.
Awesome. Yep. Yeah, and there's definitely, I know, supported by default. Just looking at, unfortunately, you guys can't see this window again. This is a OBS capture thing, but he has formats for Gerbil, Lennox CNC, Mach 3, Marlin, UC CNC. I'm not sure what Rich Auto
you could
is.
use this for 3D printing.
I don't know, because maybe somehow you might be able to trick it into doing that, but it's really because the tool paths are all subtractive. It's trying to remove material,
right.
And a 3D printer is trying to do the opposite. There might be something you can do to trick it. I did have the idea that maybe you could, through a post processor, trick it into taking something like this relief carving, and actually doing it on a fourth axis instead. So you have a relief going around like a cylindrical part. That I think is possible, but I don't know about 3D printing.
Gotcha.
Someone would have to get real tricky with it.
Yeah, can't you just play the file backwards?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
You should be able to. You can export this as an STL.
You can export both your simulation and your canvas as an STL mesh.
Yeah.
So
you could take it from here and export it in STL and then bring it into whatever program you might use for your printer.
Yep.
Huh.
That's cool.
Whatever the slicers. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Share it with other CNC users, so you can hey, I made this cool sign. If you want to make a copy, here's the STL. They can load it in any 3D capable software and carve it. So
yeah.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much my presentation, guys. I mean, the only other thing here is this repetition, which I can't really demonstrate in any way, but you could basically now, if you have a bigger stock or something, you can basically take this image and I can say I want to do 2 by 4 rows of these or something, and now I can tile it onto a piece of stock so I can mass produce this sign,
The welcome bear.
Yeah, the welcome bear. Yeah.
That's very cool. So now the so to buy the full program, it was like $150, right?
Right.
But you can also download the trial version of it for nothing, and you can do, if I was reading it right, you can do everything except for save the project. You can download all the G code and all that from it.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't be able to save the project.
You can't save project files, and you can't export meshes or height map files. So it'll actually also output a height map grayscale image of your canvas and your simulation, if for whatever reason you want your simulation as a mesh or a height map. And yeah, you can output G code. There used to be a limitation on G code output for the free trial, but I decided, I want people to be able to see what they can really do with this. So I removed that limitation, and yeah, you can pretty much do everything with the free trial. You just can't save your projects.
Don't forget about those hideous nag screens.
Oh yeah, you're gonna see some nag screens. They're gonna be popping up in your face every 20 minutes. I keep changing it.
Yeah, it does remind you that you're operating on a trial version. If you like the software, use it as long as you want on a trial. We love having users. it would be awesome also, if you want to help support us, if you make a purchase of the software, it goes straight basically to Charlie to help him continue to add these features to it. And we're really hoping to grow this and, turn the software into a much bigger thing. So, we appreciate any help with that you guys can give us for sure.
Yeah.
And my whole goal this whole time has been to give the subscription software a run for their money. That's my goal here. I want to make them scared. So
let's bring down these insane prices, like $3,000 a year for Carvico. Like what are they kidding? So
that's nuts. Oof. Do that, man. Well, that was really awesome, man. I'm
proud of it.
It is ridiculously powerful software. The stuff that you were showing tonight, and then I was watching the videos that you guys put out, and man, the stuff you can do with the lettering, the one video with the lettering and changing the iterations around it and the shapes of the letters and stuff like that was really impressive. So
my whole thing is that sometimes I have a hard time imagining what people want to see how to do, right? If someone has a question, just email us, support@defra.org. If you don't know how to do one thing, or you saw something somewhere and you want to make something like that, just shoot us an email. I will get you squared away. I will make sure you know how to use PIXEL CNC to do that.
Sweet. Very awesome. Well, thank you guys very much for coming in here.
Thanks for having us.
You guys have, and Sean and Paul Squared, do you guys have any questions or anything? Pretty good. Paul Hammer,
pretty much most of them.
You did that. Was that one project that you were showing about the portrait from a couple weeks ago?
Oh, yeah.
Was that was on
this one?
That was done on this, right?
Yes, this was done with. So this was an SVG file, and then this is the fillet. Using that part, so it's all built up from there.
Nice,
awesome,
cool.
Yeah, so whereas this one, I had the SVG and Illustrator, but then I did a bunch of grayscales, export as a PNG, then took it in and just used it as a raster layer. So I've been playing around back and forth, and then also like these coasters. I'm not sure. So that's our dog Lola. And that was just a photo. And then this was a file I made in Illustrator.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Cool.
And then got Ravenclaw. So, these are all just things, photos. And then just hopped them in there. And a lot of that, I'm still trying to learn all the different sections as well. But basically the histograph or whatever for the black and white.
The adjust levels.
Adjust levels, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it's cool. It's a fun feature. I use that one a lot too, because it gives you the ability to really manipulate anything, and then being able to select any part of a raster layer and then go ahead and do that just on that one spot is super handy.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. If you pair that with Inkscape and GIMP, 2 free softwares, and then you got 150, and you have then add in Blender even. I mean, you got you got a lot of tools right there, and a lot you can do for almost for $150.
If you saw what you make, you sell 2-3 things, PIXEL CNC's already paid for itself.
Yeah.
Just like that. And then you never have to worry about it ever again. You don't have to worry about your account getting banged again by a subscription. You're set.
Yeah. GIMP is definitely a really cool tool to add to that mix. Or sorry, not GIMP. GIMP is cool too, but Inkscape for doing vector drawing. Because one of the things that you can't do in PIXEL CNC, you can definitely draw a lot of vectors, but like I have a drawing tablet, which I've been learning to use Blender, one of these guys. And in Inkscape, you can actually use that tablet and draw in vector. So you can do a hand drawing in vector and then dump that right into Pixel CNC. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, shouldn't the brush work with one of those tablets? Shouldn't
It would. Well, no, in Pixel CNC, yeah, the brushing would absolutely.
the
3D,
brushing you could.
yeah, because it's just emulating a mouse. But the vector drawing lines that would not work with it.
I'd like to figure out how to make that work. How to use a tablet to do path editing in Pixel CNC. See what we can do to make that happen.
Yeah, that would be a cool feature for sure. If you could draw vectors on a tablet like that, I think that would be amazing. I mean, the modeling part is really easy, but the vectors are going to be a little more difficult.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good thought. It works on everything, right? It works on Apple and PC.
So I developed it specifically for PC, but I did put effort into making it so down the road I could port it to other systems, Mac, Linux. There were people who were trying to get it to run in Linux for a while, and they were having problems. I made some changes. I haven't heard if that fixed anything, if it works now. I did hear that someone is running it on a Mac. I don't know what virtual machine or emulator they're using to make it. But basically, you have to run it in like a Windows environment, whether that's on a Mac. Parallels. So let us know, though. Try it out. See if you can get it to run on Linux using one of the VMs or on Mac, and let us know. Send us an email. We're always looking for more feedback from users. Always.
Sweet. Very cool. Awesome. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up here. Sean, you got anything else for us tonight?
This was awesome. It was a good presentation, guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I took your whole show. I did not intend to do that. But
we intended to, because it means that we have to talk less.
Hopefully it wasn't terribly uninteresting.
Yeah.
Mr. Corliss, I know you're about to turn into a pumpkin.
Well, the wrinkles are starting to show up.
You got anything else for tonight?
No, I'm good. It was an interesting demonstration. That's a nice piece of software.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
Thank you.
Mr. DeHammer?
You did put the link down?
Yep. I got the
program
link in the description.
I just want to say, I really like this software. I really like working with Elon and Charlie. And, we see so much about, buy my affiliate link, do all this. I kind of wanted to give back. So I talked to them, and instead of me making money off of every, license sold, for every 5 sold, I'm going to be able to give out a free copy.
Yeah, and we're really glad to do that for you, Paul. Thank you. I forgot to mention, by the way, we're going to also give you guys a free license on the house to give away on your next stream as well, Brian and Paul. So thank you for having us here. And
yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
this was cool.
That's very cool. Thank you. It's good stuff. It definitely is going to be fun to mess with. I know that's one thing that I hear people say. I downloaded the Vectric software finally, like after many years. I finally downloaded it 6 months ago. I've opened it up one time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't used it before either. I've seen some of the things it can do, and it looks overwhelming.
It's just
another program.
A lot of people say it's not as much as for the artistic side of things as it is for just getting your toolpaths out and such like that. So with the way that you've developed the Pixel CNC, that's you want to be artistic. There you go. It's really
specifically for art. If you get the really premium Vectric product, they've included those features in there, but it's really expensive. The Vectric Expire. And honestly, the tools aren't really that amazing to me. I watched some videos about it, watching them make this little lion, and I wasn't that impressed with the 3D modeling tools in there. I've seen some great things come out of it, but I don't know.
So very awesome.
Yeah, well, most of those softwares, it's just import that file and let's generate the toolpaths.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really, with a few light tools to use. So
Yeah.
Gotcha. Good deal. Well, Leon, you got anything else for us tonight?
No, I do not. You're off the hook. Don't put your thumbs in any table saws.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
That will things will not be good after that.
You can't use metric anymore.
yeah.
Charlie, you got anything?
I'm good.
All
This
right,
is
well,
awesome. I'm happy. We're at 2 hours now. Imagine that.
Wow.
it's good times. It helps with the watch time. Well, Charlie, Leon, hang on, don't go anywhere here. We're gonna go ahead and get signed off here. Thank you so much to everybody that hung in there with us tonight. Hope everybody learned a little something, and we'll be back again next week. And evidently, we're giving away a copy of PIXEL CNC next week, so tune in, and that's awesome. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Bye, everyone.
Yep. All right. Thank you.